just rocks. So we said, give us the rocks. And the rocks is now going to be an international tourism attraction.
For somebody to put some time into it like that, you got to be real. That's a big sacrifice to step out by yourself.
I dedicated 5 years in getting this to go from vision to reality. We needed to have public and private partnership.
All I saw was a bunch of rocks. I'm like, how you gonna put a Walk of Fame right here?
20 years we've been trying to figure out what to do with that particular lot.
What in the world? Like, it's just rocks, Commissioner Reece. So I'm like, what, they building or what? She doing what? What is this? What is she doing?
Just listening to Alicia tell me how it's gonna be, I'm like, we can never make this happen.
Commissioner Alicia Reece had her ups and downs during this entire process. She even had to have knee surgery.
God prepared me for this journey, and I didn't even know it a long time ago.
Commissioner Reece told me, go to Kinko's and print off a flyer. And I mean, this is the morning of.
People from all over the world will come here and understand the stories behind our legends and our icons. We created the culture. It came from right here.
It's coming back on again. All right, everybody. It is Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, we're in some very tough times right now. Very tough times and tough times ahead. But today, I just want to try to focus on something positive. Okay, we're going to try to stay positive today. That's what I want to do because I get on the social media. There's nothing positive. You look up the comedians. They're not making you laugh. They're going head to head. You turn on hip hop and they're not making you dance. They're going head to head. And they got a beef and an argument and this and that. You turn on sports, and all you usually want to do is argue about what team, who's doing what. But they got a mess going, and they're going back and forth, and arguments and injustices in the sports arena. I mean, it's nonstop. You go on your job and you hope you got a job because you don't know who's laying off. Some people say, get a job in the government. The government, Washington, they getting rid of departments and jobs, and people been there close to retirement. That used to be a place where you don't get paid as much as the private sector, but you're able to raise a family, buy a house, hopefully be able to survive, be able to give back in public service, and be able to hopefully, make it. But you don't usually make a ton of money, and they said retirement usually, if you go there, is supposed to be safe. You go over here and say play sports, and if you make it to the professional area, you're supposed to be able to play the game that you love and get paid for it. And that's supposed to be, you made it, mama and daddy, or mama, grandma, I made it. That's a mess. You go over here and they say, man, we need to have more fathers being fathers, more men being fathers. And you look at the Deion Sanders of the world, and they want to beat the mess out of this man who wants to just be a good father to his children. He didn't run away. He didn't leave. Stayed there with him, coached him, advised him, sent him to God, told him the importance of God. And fighting off, he had blood clots. And here's a guy who was working out every day. I mean, this man works out every day, had a chef and all that, and he still had to get his toes amputated. And people wishing bad on him and his kids. Isn't that terrible? And really trying to get them to break. You keep saying God. I mean, we gonna show you. You gonna have to, you keep saying that. So they make it super hard on Shadora and all the others. And we don't want him. He came from the black college and then went to Colorado, and we're gonna show him. And we couldn't get his father. We couldn't stop his talent. So now we're gonna try to get his children. So you turn there, whether you like the team or not. Y'all know I ain't no Browns fan at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm Cincinnati, right? But all that you got to go through, pushing the person to a breaking point, pushing them. We're in a bad society. You get on the social media and people get married and they clap for you, and then 2 weeks later they got fake news out trying to force you into the divorce. You know what I'm saying? It's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom. Every time you turn around, they got something bad about the church. They got something bad about the athletes. They got something bad about the government. They got something bad about the comedians. They got something bad about the singers. They got something bad about the hip hop. I mean, you used to could turn to music to get away from it. You used to could turn to sports and get away from it. You used to could turn to, let me go to a comedy show and let me laugh. You can't go there. They fighting and mad. We're in some tough times. And we got to pray. For me, that's all I can do. We can do all we can do, but only God can come in on this stuff. Because it's hitting on all sides, every side, all day, every day. And it's all over the place. So today on the show, I want to hopefully give you something good, something fun. We're getting ready it's going to be Labor Day. A lot happens during Labor Day. We've got a strike going on, UAW workers, and want to pray for them and their families to be able to get that worked out. And it's something that I've got family and that's affected by that as well. So that's in labor as well. So all this is going on. But I want to thank everyone who came out to the Veterans Appreciation Day. Veterans and Military Appreciation Day. I tell you, it fills my heart when I see these veterans who've served our country, and they are, have served our country, come over here, come back home, and couldn't get any help. That's over. That's over in Hamilton County. And so we have this one-stop model. It's another national model. We kicked it off last year. We did Great American Ballpark. This time we were at Sawyer Point. We kicked it off in partnership with the Hamilton County Veterans Commission. And, I had people on and folks were out. We had thousands that came out. Thousands of veterans that came out, and former Lincoln Heights Mayor, Mr. Hatton, his family got honored with a gold star, and so it was just amazing of all the things that happened. People got connected. I got people stopping me, diverse people stopping me, saying, "Oh my goodness." One gentleman said, "I was homeless. They wouldn't help me. And I served this country." He said, "And I came down last year. I wasn't sure if this was real. But when I got down here, I had to come back this year to tell you that I'm on my feet. I've got a place to stay. I've got a job. I'm able to stand up like I stood up for the country." And that just gave me chills. So many people that came out. I want to thank you all. We had over 80 partners. I want to thank all the partners with the different services that were available to help our veterans, everything from small business to disability benefits to housing to food, all of that. And families were down there enjoying each other. Veterans, their children and grandchildren were there to honor and also participate with them. I had a chance to Mr. Horace McCray was there, and he's 101, and he'll be 102 this week, I believe. And he was down there. He has served our country. So just want to thank all the veterans that came out, all the people that put it together, our partnership with the VSC. And I just want to thank God again, because this is a vision that he gave me, and it came to reality, and we were able to help people. That's what I want to do. I want to help people, and we were able to help veterans. So want to give a big shout out to that. Also want to thank everyone that came out. I had a fundraiser. This is some tough times, y'all. When you're standing up for the people, you got to be financed by the people. And so I want to thank Beverly Odoms, who hosted at her home a wonderful pool party. And just want to thank her for hosting this, and thank everybody that came out. And those some of the ladies that came out. We did some line dance. It was a really good crowd of people. And I want to thank her for opening up her home, her beautiful home, her pool. I want to give a shout out to Chef Marvin Smith, Ollie's Trolley, that had a wonderful layout of food. I told him hamburgers and hot dogs only, and he came with, he put a spread on. He had a spread. I eat pork hot dogs, okay? He had those, but he had beef hot dogs. He had turkey hot dogs. He had hamburgers, turkey burgers, meatballs. I said, man, I thought he had sauteed vegetables. It was a spread. He had a spread, and I just want to thank him, and kind of got me ready for Labor Day. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, okay, we getting ready. But it was great. Now, those of you said, hey, I couldn't make it. First of all, I want to thank everybody who could make it. I want to thank everybody who did donate. Thank you so much. And we've got something new that we're rolling out, because I know people, times are tough, money tight. People say, hey, I like to be on a reoccurring. I pay a little bit and it come out, every month, and then I can support you. I can invest. It's called our Invest in Re-election of Hamilton County Commissioner Alicia Reece. And so this new piece you can do, people could do $20 a month or what have you. We still are fundraising, because we're close to our goal. I think we're like, I don't know, $700 from the goal. You can do that by calling 513-861-6033. Ask for Bernadette Watson. 513-861-6033 if you like to donate and be a part of that. Or you could go to votealiciareece.com. I think it's .com or .org. votealiciareece.com and .org. I think both of them. But call this number, 513-861-6033. Okay, I got two announcements, then I got a special guest coming up. We're going to talk about this. It is called Alicia Reece Soul Food after all. But we're going to talk about what you can do this weekend, and how you can, some great recipes. We've got the one and only Mona Bronson Fuqua that's going to be on the show to talk about that, okay, in a second. But first, I've got to give you some dates. I got to always give y'all some dates of what's going on. We have this weekend, the Lincoln Ware Walking Club will be the first time we have a walking club that we're hosting Wellness Day at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. It'll be Wellness Day at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. We will you'll be able to walk with the walking club through Smale Park, which is right across the street. Then you'll come through the Walk of Fame, and you'll be able to take pictures and experience the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. And then, of course, you can dance with Penny Ford. It is a workout. I got the power. You'll be able to dance with her virtually and post your picture. And we're going to look for who has the best picture, right? Who does the best dance moves. So come on down to the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. on Saturday. That's this Saturday. It is August the 30th, I believe. In case you hear my replay that comes on Saturday evening, it'll be too late. But you still can go to Black Music Walk of Fame all weekend. It'll be open. But for the wellness, special wellness day, this is historic. We've never had a walking club event coming through the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. So this will be the wellness meet at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, 10 a.m. on Saturday. That's this Saturday, August 30th. Meet there, meet at the front of the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. Bring your walking shoes, all the stuff that you walk in. And then Lincoln Ware will give you what the path is going to be, 10 a.m. Or you can meet at Winton Woods, where the walking club meets at Winton Woods. They're getting on a bus. So if you want to take the bus, meet at Winton Woods at 9 a.m. and they're going to jump on a bus to come down. Or you could just meet us straight at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. What is the address? 190 Marion Way. 190 Marion Way. It's on the corner of Elm and Marion Way, across from the NFL Stadium, Paycor Stadium. Can't miss it. Come on down. And let's be a part of history again. Man, we got 285,000 visitors. That is nothing to sneeze at. We were trying to get 250,000. We got 285,000. Now be a part of our wellness day, our first ever wellness day in honor of the Labor Day holiday. Meet us down at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. And we're going to be walking in Smale Park and then walk through the Walk of Fame and dance and have a good time. Everything is free. And you don't have to be a marathon runner, because I'm not. Come on down and walk and fellowship and have a good time and be a part of history. Our first wellness day at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame with the Lincoln Ware Walking Club. Thank you, Lincoln Ware Walking Club. Appreciate it. I remember when he got started with this walking club. He's got one of the premier walking clubs in the whole country. So come on out and be a part of it. Spread the word. That's this Saturday. Okay, now we get ready for Labor Day. And I'm telling you, some of y'all been slipping. I remember when I used to walk in those parades, man, you could smell the charcoal going, and you already know that, grandma got the macaroni and cheese simmering and ready to go. The rolls were homemade. We wasn't running out here talking about get the little Hawaiian rolls. We were homemade rolls and hot water bread and ribs and rib tips, whether you wanted the beef ribs or the pork ribs, they had them. Now they got turkey ribs. I mean, they had it going on. But in the last maybe 2 years or more, I've been walking through and I've been hollering, where is the food? So I decided to bring a chef that teaches, because we got to get back in this kitchen. The chef that teaches how to make the soul food, how to do it right. And I'm excited to bring her in honor of our Labor Day show, our Labor Day soul food show, right? I'd like to bring up the one and only Mona Bronson Fuqua.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I've heard a little echo. Am I supposed to hear that?
Uh-oh. Let me see if I can.
They're fixing it. Is she sounding good on all platforms, even online? Okay, great. Maybe I'll just take these down because I'm hearing feedback myself. Okay, that sounds a little better. Okay. All right.
Commissioner Reece, how you doing today?
Oh my goodness, I'm doing good. I'll tell you, it's some hard times, Chef, that's going on right now.
There are some hard
struggling. However, back in the day, we get in the kitchen and the food, we had dancing, we had the Bible, we had dancing, we had the hymns, and we had the food that would bring us still together.
Yeah.
The soul food was the scraps. They said, man, give them scraps. And somehow, Chef, we put it together and created a whole new delicatessen.
Well, that's the thing. People like to say, oh, it's the scraps, that's food we shouldn't eat anymore. But I would argue that this was what sustained us. there's not necessarily something wrong with the things that used to be on our menu. It's the fact that we don't move the way we used to, and so we aren't burning that same kind of energy. But there's two things. First of all things in moderation. Second
Yeah.
thing is you can take the things that are familiar to you and make them a little bit healthier. And third of all, anytime you are working from the process of whole food versus a processed food, then you automatically are helping yourself be a little bit more healthy. So I'm all about that food that feeds your soul and feeds your spirit. We aren't just feeding our belly; we're feeding what keeps us running, what keeps us fighting, what keeps us doing what we have to do to get through these hard times, right?
Absolutely. Now let's talk about before we get started into because people running the TikTok. I'm one of them running the TikTok with these recipes. You know what I'm saying? I see some on TikTok. I say, wait a minute, how they fix dressing in 20 minutes? This ain't the same dressing. And some of the stuff is good. You can get to pick like this one ain't looking too right. I ain't putting no raisins on no. No, we're not putting it over there. So you have some, and then they always say, this is so delicious. And you be like, no, that ain't delicious. But then you have some that you're like, oh, okay, that's what I did wrong. Okay, I didn't put the butter on this, or I didn't put and some of those things have worked. But before we get into the
I lost your sound. You went to mute. Oh, there
Uh,
you are.
I went to
Okay.
mute. Okay. We're streaming like those young people do,
Right.
iSpeed and Kai Sanat that's on the front of Time magazine. I said, well, wait a minute, we got the stream. So we're streaming on social media and we're on 103.1 FM at 10:50 a.m. And then I've got a whole crew over there that's engineering all this. So sometimes it's unedited, it's live. So
Understand.
but let me ask you this before we get into the TikTok and the recipes, tell us about your background and what you do currently.
Okay. So my background, I actually grew up here and I have worked in a variety of venues. I was in communications, worked for the Enquirer, worked for TriHealth in their media relations department. And then I pivoted and I went back to culinary program. I went through the Free Store Food Bank and their Cincinnati Cooks program, because every type of career has a language, and even though I had been cooking, I needed to know the specific kitchen language. So I did that and I took my credits from there. I went to Cincinnati State. I found out that at we won't say how old I was, but I didn't want to do 16 hours on my feet compared to the young people that I was working with. So I said, okay, well, culinary management degree is going to work. Well, and that was great. But along the way, I found out that the only thing I like better than eating food, cooking food, is teaching other people how to enjoy food. So now I teach for Le Soup, which is in the East Walnut Hills. It's a transform, rescue, and share organization that rescues over 1 million pounds of food a year to share with our community members. It doesn't make sense that in this time period where things are so difficult, that 40% of our food that is produced ends up in a landfill, yet 40% of our population is food insecure. Those two things should not go together. So I teach 3 education programs for them. I encourage people to go to lesoup.org and check them out. I also teach for Jungle Gyms in Fairfield. And I thoroughly enjoy being out there with all the different options that there are for food experiences. And I encourage people to check that out on the Jungle Gyms Fairfield Cooking School website. I'm going to be at Baker Hunt Cultural Center, which is over in Covington. And I'll be starting that here in September. My very first class, we're going to do a Rosh Hashanah class. No, I'm not Jewish, but what I do know is that food comes across all cultural experiences. And so, particularly speaking of hard times, as we look at people being so focused on how they are different, I wanted to look at traditional Jewish food ways and look at some Palestinian food ways and look at the ways that they work together. So that's the first class I'll be teaching there, but I'll also be doing a variety of classes there. And when I'm not doing all of that, I have personal clients. I do some what I call boutique catering because it's just little old me. So I can only carry so much. And then I do all of consulting, pretty much everything
Right.
one little body can do.
Everything dealing. A lot of people when they go into, I'm going to open up a restaurant or I'm going to go into catering, and
Mhm.
I learned a lot because my parents owned a banquet hall, Integrity Hall Banquet and Conference Center, and it was, it was learning all the different caterers, and we were like one of the first that really allowed outside caterers because a lot of the places then you couldn't bring in outside catering. So
Right.
we got a chance to kind of foster and learn that. In fact, I was down with my niece. She's having my first great niece. She's
Oh,
having, and she had a shower, and she wanted us to come down, and I came down. I didn't know we was gonna be Integrity Hall again, putting tables out, tablecloth. My mother would have been just so she's looking down from heaven. I was like, okay, mom, I get you. But I ended up catering. I said, how did I go back to
how did
catering
that happen?
for 60 people? She was
Ooh, oh yeah. See, that's a lot. And what I tell people is I love the food side of it, but
yeah.
at this point, hauling tables and hauling chairs,
Ooh.
that's why I have all my young, I put them to work. I have a couple of mentees that have come through programs that I've taught, and they now come and assist me when I need that help. And thank God, Mr. Fuqua is willing to be on tap. Not only does he take the photos, but he will come and put his hand to the struggle if it needs to be done.
All hands on deck. That's what my mother used to say.
There you go.
At that
See?
time, I remember I just became the vice mayor. We had an event, and we were short on help, but she told me, "Wash your hands, put this on." And someone said, "She's the vice mayor." She said, "Not in here, she ain't." I said, "Yes, ma'am." With the
That's right.
service,
That's right.
because that's so important. Now, let's get back to a lot of people out there. They, some people cook and they say, oh man, my family loves how I cook. They like the taste of my food.
Mhm.
And you just talked about you being in every aspect of food. Like you said, chef, you can cook, you can cater, you teach, you do the research. It's so many other components to it. But people are out here saying, "Hey, I can cook for my family, 10 people, what have you." That's different than opening up
A
a
restaurant.
restaurant and having the same taste. And I think that's one thing that we kind of fall on because soul food, we kind of like, okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of this, I'm gonna put some more of that. And it's kind of hard to keep that same taste day after day.
Consistency, yeah, it's difficult. Especially when you talk about doing things in an improvisational way. I tell people all the time that cooking is a lot like jazz. Actually, it's a little bit more like the sound of music. You got to be able to do re mi before the hills can be alive with the sound of music. That means you got to know the basics and then you can kind of expand. But even within that, what a lot of times what I have seen happen is that people will be in the business of food and they don't understand that if you put celery seed in it on Monday, then you got to
Mhm.
put celery seed in it on Friday.
Right.
Because the person who has the experience on Monday is going to come back and taste it on Friday and say, this isn't the same experience. And what I have noticed in the last 6 months to a year, I think, is that food as a experience, the whole concept of eating out or whether you're cooking at home, a lot of times people they assume that it's just about putting the food in your mouth, swallowing it and eating it, and that's it. But it's not. That's not the only thing. It is literally a touchstone. I tell people we feed love to be fed love. We give people a recipe. I have recipes that my grandmother and my grandmother and I used to talk about food like other people used to talk about with their grandmother about what happened on All My Children. I'd be like, Grandma, I found this recipe. And then we would talk about, well, how do you tweak it? So right at the end of her life, one of the last times that I cooked for her, I had made something. It was really simple. It was cabbage. It wasn't anything big. And she's like, oh, I really love this. And she wasn't eating a lot. I was like, I was like, well, I'll make it for you again. And I brought it to her again. But I must have done something just a little bit different. And she said, this is not the same. I encourage people, if you are the person in your family who makes the best macaroni and cheese or the best dressing, or they love your barbecue sauce or whatever it is, write it down. Now, my husband will tell you that I am notorious for not writing it down. And I've gotten better as I have gone through the years of being in the business. But it's very important to at least have consistency about what you use when you can. But the other thing I also tell people is you can channel your ancestors. You should think about, okay, when I was sitting at this table and Big Mama gave me that to just peel that carrot, but while she was doing that, I'm watching her. Or she had me taste something. What was that experience? What did it taste like? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? And then when you go to your own pot, you bring your ancestors forward to that pot with you.
Wow.
That's how you keep consistency. That's how the recipe for oxtail or pig's feet or macaroni and cheese that your great big mama made is the same as the one that your mama made. And if you want your children to be able to make it, then you have to be not only consistent about sharing the recipe, but you also have to be consistent about inviting them to the table. We don't bring our generations to the table.
Absolutely. We're going to hold that thought. They're going to work on I got an echo going with our mics, but we're going to hold that thought. We come back. We're going to talk about coming to the table and what this Labor Day can do.
Be an international.
Not sure what's going on.
Yeah, we're still live, so
Okay.
be careful what you're talking.
It started with just rocks. So we said, give us the rocks. And the rocks is now going to be an international tourism attraction.
For somebody to put some time into it like that, you got to be real. That's a big sacrifice to step out by yourself.
I dedicated 5 years in getting this to go from vision to reality. We needed to have public and private partnership.
All I saw was a bunch of rocks. I'm like, how you gonna put a Walk of Fame right here?
20 years we've been trying to figure out what to do with that particular lot.
What in the world? Like, it's just rocks, Commissioner Reece. So I'm like, what, they building a what? She doing what? What is this? What is she doing?
Just listening to Alicia tell me how it's gonna be, I'm like, we can never make this happen.
Commissioner Alicia Reece had her ups and downs during this entire process. She even had to have knee surgery.
God prepared me for this journey, and I didn't even know it a long time ago.
Commissioner Reece told me, go to Kinko's and print off a flyer. And I mean, this is the morning of.
People from all over the world will come here and understand the stories behind our legends and our icons. We created the culture. It came from right here.
We haven't had that before, but now we're back at echo.
There we go.
Okay, we're going to take one more break and try to get my mic together here. We'll take one more break and we'll be right back. Again. All right, Alicia Reece Soulful, we back to echo again. There's got to be something in the board. Yeah. Um, are we echo? Okay, someone shut my door so I don't hear it. Okay. We are back and we've got to get that fixed. So if I do a mute, can you hear me now, Chef?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we've got Chef Mona Bronson, Fuqua. I don't know why we're echoing. There's got to be something on the board. I don't think it's the computer. But Chef, let's talk about preparation. What do you do when you teach? Someone comes in, they want to do a dinner this weekend. They want to barbecue out. Give us some tips.
Whoa, okay. So they want to barbecue out this weekend. If they've never barbecued before, I'm going to say to them that you want to keep it simple. You want to practice good mise en place, which means that you're going to be getting everything together so that you aren't running out at the last minute. So you need to make a list. You know, our parents used to make a grocery list. You're going to check your pantry. Do I have the chicken? Do I have the brown sugar? Do I have the butter? Do I have all the things that I need for my specific recipes? Choose a simple recipe. Don't go trying to become cordon bleu in this the first time you've ever barbecued. You
This is
know,
the time to do new recipes. To be new recipes, it's like the Super Bowl. You got to put your best players in.
right.
It's like
It's
the
like
concert. They want the hits. So if you have not made this before, don't go testing
exactly.
it out on the family.
Exactly. I mean, so trying out the new recipe or maybe doing something for the first time, that's something that you do the week before. If you are down, if we getting down and dirty and it's for this week, I'm going to tell you to go get you some hamburger patty if you feel like you're confident enough to work with raw hamburger, you would be surprised the number of people who are uncomfortable touching meat.
Wow.
And so they're just, they're not used to it. They're used to getting the patties that are already pre-made. So they've never touched it.
Where's the season? Or is there a trick to patties that are already made and somehow having seasoning? Because I always have to put mine together because I like my seasoning all the way through. But is there something that you can do with a frozen patty already?
If it's a frozen patty that is pre-cooked, no. I would say that you're going to have to depend on your toppings and your condiments to season it. If it is a frozen patty that is, you can thaw it and it's still raw and has to be cooked, then you could actually add some seasonings to it. I would thaw it out, add my seasoning to it, and then reform the patty and make it that way. That would be my first suggestion. I would encourage people, play around with your sauces and your condiments versus your hardcore things like your macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the macaroni and cheese.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that.
I gotta give you time on that one because it's some bad macaroni and cheese walking around.
Ooh, well, yeah.
We got to do something about it. But it's good to know if you have a pre-patty, you can put something on top of it, but it doesn't mean it's going to go all the way through the burger. But
No.
you will have an edible burger, and
right.
That's an easier way to do it, right?
Right. That, and you want to make sure that you're cooking it to temp. Anytime that you're cooking something that you're re-cooking it, you want it to be at 165 to keep you healthy. Anytime you are reheating. But that's for one that is actually prepared. Then if you got one that is raw meat, then you want to look at your food temperatures for food safety. You want to make sure that when you are blending in your seasoning, that you also are making sure that you keep your hamburger cold. I will say that at this point, it's still cheaper to buy your ground meat and form your own patties, probably. And there are ways to make sure that you do that. Some people, you make your patty and then it shrinks up and it gets real thick in the middle. But there's some ways to arrange to not have that happen. So you can take that patty and you can actually put your thumb in the middle of it. You want to create a little well so that as it starts to cook, it doesn't just puff up. You want it to stay flat, so that it doesn't end up being one big lump of meat. You want it to be a nice coverage. Then you're going to let it have some space in the middle. You also can drop an ice cube in there. That also will help sometimes with keeping moisture in your meat. I encourage people to go old school. Get your ground beef, or if you're going to do ground turkey, if you're going to do a combination, you want to add a good binder. Maybe you can use oatmeal, you can use breadcrumbs, you could use crackers. I don't necessarily feel like you need an egg. Maybe you can make a meatloaf, but
yeah, meatloaf maybe.
Meatloaf, you could do
it. Now, I like my hot dogs burnt.
Absolutely. Is there any other way to eat them?
I mean, some people, they don't like it. It got to show me that it is it is burnt and it's ready to go. I wanted someone to check our Facebook pages to see if we're still on, because some people lost us, but we're on. Good. We're good. Now let's move to, we got the hamburgers. We know the hot dogs got to be burnt. What grill do you think that smokers or the grill, the black with the red top on it and the charcoal, or the gas grill? What's the best grill, or does it matter?
To me, if I'm bothering to grill meat for a holiday, I want smoke. And I think this is a cultural thing a little bit. When we say barbecue or grill out, most people of color mean smoke. They want to smell smoke.
I thought most people of color got that red. That one is red top with the black bottom.
With the black bottom, yeah, absolutely.
Charcoal and put some foil on top of the thing. I mean, of course we have evolved, but I just got it. I didn't know much about the smoke grill till, maybe the last 10 years. And it takes forever for smoke, doesn't it?
Not really. It depends. The most important thing is you want to make sure that you don't start cooking when your fire's too hot. So you don't want flame jumping everywhere. You want your coals to burn down so that you get embers, and then you're going to let the smoke do the work. You
Got it.
can't keep taking the top off. It's
Oh,
like
you
any other pot. You take the top off, you cutting into your cooking time, and you're letting heat out. So you don't want to do that. I prefer the smoke grill. I like the wood chips.
Yeah.
To me, if I'm going to do a gas grill, then I might as well cook it inside. I can just, if I want grill marks like that.
Yeah, they got gas grills now.
Yeah, I
Because people
know.
don't want to deal with that lighter fluid and all that. It's a
Now,
little scary.
my husband likes you do the propane. You can have the propane grill, but you can also have it with the wood chips, and that gives you that smoke
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, my
The
preference
smoke
is,
I'm telling you, if you get a smoked burger or some meat, it's just that flavor all the way through it. For me, it's just a long process. But
or
you just
even better if you take your greens
Mhm.
off your pot in the house and you take them out to your grill. You can cut down on the amount of pork maybe that you are putting in those greens, because you're going to get your smoke on the grill.
Wait a minute. Let's stop. We got to go back on this. Now we're talking greens. Now,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
me, I'm collard greens. I don't like all the other ones, the mustard, the mix. I don't like all that because I guess my grandma was always a collard person, but she did it. She discouraged me from wanting to do greens because she get the greens and then she cleaning them in the tub and then she cut them. I mean, she was real old school West End, 1082 Lynn Street, collard greens, and the whole house smelled like greens, right? And I
There
couldn't.
you go.
But you're saying you can put these greens in the smoker.
Absolutely.
I've never heard of that.
So the way that I have done it previously is I may start them on the stove, but you don't necessarily have to, but I may start them on top of my oven on my stove, but then I will take them, put them in a nice big aluminum pan. I've got all my seasonings in there. I've got my am I going to tell this secret? I think I am going to tell this secret.
Now, we need to know all the secrets.
Okay, so I have a lot of people in my family who do not eat pork, or they don't eat
a
meat.
lot of people say they don't eat pork. Although I will say the pork hot dogs went real quick, and we had a lot of leftovers of the other ones. But yes, they don't eat pork.
Yeah, my theory is, I mean, if you don't eat pork for whatever reason, God bless you. I understand why you do that. I'm going to eat a pork hot dog. If I'm eating a hot dog anyway, my theory is it doesn't matter pretty much if it's beef, pork, turkey, because it's all the bits and pieces anyway. But back to the greens. You put the greens into your aluminum foil pan. When I cook greens, I do my veg, I do all my aromatics, they call them, the onion, the garlic, whatever. And then I deglaze my pan with a beer.
What?
It does not matter. It doesn't have to be expensive beer. Matter of fact, please make it the cheapest beer that you can get away with. Deglaze your pan with that, and then you put your tin foil over it. You might put some holes in it because you want that smoke to get to it, and you take it out and put it on the grill, and you let it, and you smoke those greens.
Wow.
And I'm here to tell you, the only thing that I will say for people who are not cooking with meat, greens tend to need some type of fat. You can cook them without them, but you have to remember that many of the vitamins that you want to access are what we would call fat soluble and not water soluble. So you need a little bit of fat, but you can use olive oil, which is not a seed oil, and it works great. It gives you that a good feel, mouth feel, because part of what you want from fat is that the fat helps the flavor linger on your tongue. And so that's the reason we like to put that pork, put the ham hock in there, but people use smoked turkey, whatever the case may be. I encourage everybody to try it and see what they like. I like a little bit of hot pepper in mine, hit it on that smoker, then I can go in the house and work on that hot water cornbread.
Oh,
And
talk about hot water cornbread. The other day, someone said, "What is hot water cornbread?" Nija was telling me that she watched her grandmother growing up, and she would do the hot water cornbread. I learned about hot water cornbread my grandmother, but then when I went to Grambling and went over my friend's mom's house, and it was hot water cornbread. They wasn't running with Jiffy. They was running with the hot water cornbread. Tell people, what is hot water cornbread? How do they make it? Is it because it's pretty quick if you can master it?
yeah, it's not a difficult thing. Basically, what you're looking at is cornmeal, salt, a little bit of sugar if you like your sweet. Depends on the person. Some people like a little bacon fat. Other people will use olive oil. But the trick is the boiling water. So once you have all your dry ingredients blended together, and there are multiple good recipes online that will tell you specifically what kind of dry ingredients, and then you put your boiling water in. Now, when I was growing up, I had hot water cornbread, but my family called it corn dodders. So we would put the boiling water in, and then you take the batter by the spoonful and you drop it in your skillet. So you get little corn dodders.
Yeah, yeah.
Now my husband, his family would make hot water cornbread, but when they did theirs, they did the whole thing in the cast iron skillet. Both things are legit. I just happen to I like to have the little piece so I can dip it.
Yeah, I like that's how I know about it. Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, we don't have as much time, and I got a couple things I gotta get from you. We're talking to Chef Mona Bronson Fuqua. I just learned that seasonings is aromatics. That's the technical word, as you would say. Let's talk about these baked beans. Now, these baked beans, when you go in, you got the one that's called pork and beans, which is the one I like because I like the redder look. And then you got the ones that's more brown, which is what more people are using now. I forgot what brand that is.
It really doesn't matter the brand because all baked beans in general are a navy bean. And you could buy navy beans in the can, and then you could doctor them up as you see fit. That's what a baked bean is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how do you make them not be soupy? Is it the time of how long you bake them? I know people say put bacon on them. Some people got pineapples. Some people put put meat in them, ground beef. But what makes
you want to cook off the liquid? You want it to cook long enough so that the liquid reduces. But the other thing you can do is just like when you make a pot of beans in the wintertime, you want to cream those beans so that the starch thickens that liquid. So the starch in the bean hits that hot liquid, and that's what thickens your pot. Same process for your baked beans. If you feel like your baked beans are a little bit too loose, get them to a hot temperature, get you a potato masher, mash it a couple times so that the beans release their starch, and then they will thicken up for you.
Because I was wondering, someone said, well, you need to cook them a little bit longer.
Cook them a little bit longer, a little higher heat. And then if you need to, you can cream the beans and let the starch in the beans do their job. So
let's get to the macaroni and cheese.
Ooh, okay. What you want to know?
Different ones. Okay, we like baked macaroni and cheese. Talk about that. I mean, baking versus on top with Kraft macaroni and cheese. We don't care for that.
Well, here's the thing. Don't throw the Kraft out with the bathwater. If Kraft is what you have available, you can take that Kraft macaroni and cheese, make it as the directions on the box say, add an egg to it. So you're going to scotch an egg, or you're going to put it in there. So be careful. You don't want to scramble the egg. You have to temper the egg. So you have to take the hot and put it into the egg so that it raises up to temperature, and then you put it back into the whole pot. And then you can bake it.
Mm.
And you're going to get that thicker, you're going to get that more set up baked macaroni and cheese type of situation. Now, if you want to keep it loose, that's fine. My kids never liked it baked when they were little. They like it that way now, but they didn't then. So the trick for it is, if you're going to do baked macaroni and cheese, an egg is a good way to help set up your macaroni and cheese. You want to make sure that you're using cheeses that you like. I know some people like to experiment. Patty LaBelle has some wonderful recipe, a wonderful macaroni and cheese recipe. But I'm going to circle back just a little bit to the conversation that we were talking about. We need to be inviting our generations to the table.
Yes.
And as generations, we need to ask for the invitation. Don't wait for an invitation. Say, Nana, Pawpaw, Uncle Bud, whoever who's in charge of making the macaroni and cheese, can you show me?
Right. And that's what brought us together.
Be with you while we do this together.
Yeah, this is gonna be, this is what brings everybody together. This is what I loved about going to my niece's shower. We were all in the kitchen. We were all together, and it just felt so good. And at a time now when everything's just so negative, it just be good to don't just come with your plate, come and help out and bring everybody. This is the time we got to come together.
Yeah, bring your hands to the table.
Yeah.
Bring your hands to the struggle. This is how we learn to walk down the process of surviving what we are looking at. It doesn't start with how we're going to be politically active. It starts at our dining room table, at our kitchen table, at the time that we sit down with our children and say, you know what? Money is funny. And we're going to have to do this. But that doesn't mean that we can't eat well. It doesn't mean that we won't have what we need to survive. It doesn't mean that we can't be strong. These are the tactics that I can teach you. And while I'm teaching you those, I can also teach you how to make this recipe.
Yeah.
It all is intermingled if we choose to be.
Well, the movie Soul Food was out, and it talked about bringing everybody to the table. We want everybody to get together. Labor Day, let's come together instead of fighting each other, and let's learn some of these recipes, because I'm telling you, we're losing them. And even with fried chicken, everybody open up a fried chicken and nobody's cooking it all the way through. It's just running me crazy that we've got all.
Chicken needs to be cooked to 165 degrees, please.
All right, Chef. My time is running out. I gotta have you come back on, but you all got the menu. You can do some hamburgers, some hot dogs. If you got it going on, do the ribs. If you don't have it going on, get somebody who can do the ribs. Macaroni and cheese. She gave you what we could do and gave us some tips. Try that hot water bread. If you've never done it, don't try this weekend. You try it next weekend.
And even if you try it and you make a mistake, it isn't the end of the world. Sometimes the mistake you make in the kitchen becomes the thing that you and your family love the best. Don't not cook because you're afraid you can't cook. I'd rather see you try than be afraid to fail.
All right, it's Alicia Reece. Don't forget to bring the hot sauce. I know we're signing off from the radio, but you stay right here. Those who are online with us, Chef, I just got one quick thing for you as we're signing off. But Chef, where can they find you? You're going to be, you are Jungle Gems.
Jungle Gems, La Soup.
Love La Soup. Wonderful program.
Yes, they're a wonderful program. And Baker Hunt Cultural Center. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at Je ne sais Fuqua, LLC. And that is
spell that.
Oh, let me spell it. That would be JENESAIS F like Frank, UQUA LLC. Yes, I know it's long, but you'll be able to find me. And that's at gmail.com. You can find me there also on Facebook. I am a big Facebook proponent, so reach out to me and I would be happy to answer any question that you have. And enjoy your holiday, people.
Enjoy, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Thank you for being on. We'll have to have you back to talk about some more recipes.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.